Yeah.
Okay. Yo, guys, what's up? This is Captain Daniel, and I'm with Logan. So I didn't, what's crazy? How me and Logan met was I actually saw him on your Instagram, and you had that viral video. You guys got to check out a video where he goes, the girl says something about run through all the people, and you say, no, they're running through you. You say the line. It was so
Yeah,
much better.
so basically, the girl was trying to call me and my buddies out for being ran through since we have like 40 to 50 bodies. And it was just an estimate. She was just estimating like, "Oh, let's say you guys had 40, 50 bodies. You guys would be ran through."
Yeah,
Um
yeah,
and and then I'm like, "No, we're not ran through. We're the ones running through."
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
and then it just went super viral. And then I roasted a few other chicks and roasted the fat chick. Um yeah, it was just it was just a funny ass
No,
fucking podcast, bro.
No, it was so good because it kind of reminded me of that the whole like the Master Key thing, right?
Yeah,
Because the girl was being
exactly.
rude first, right? She was being kind of rude, and I think the way you stood your ground and didn't, it was like she's being rude. We call it like she was shit testing you, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And you kind of stood your ground and made a joke, and it was actually funny because you saw the other girls laugh.
right.
So I followed your content, and I just, I didn't really know who you were. And then we just talked on the phone real quick, and just your story has been crazy. You're 21 years old. Um, and I'm not going to talk about, but we have a mutual military background in the past where I do respect you for that. But the biggest thing was that you were starting this stuff before like Andrew Tate got canceled. So apparently you went through a lot of stuff at a very young age, going through the whole cancel culture. And man, at your age, dude, and that's when my respect was like, dude, I got to get this guy on a call, just to pick your brain about like the fact that at a young age you were able to maneuver through cancel culture, right? And also deal with women and also be like known as someone who is attracted to women. I'm just like, how'd you do all these things all at once, right? So just got Logan, I don't know the full story behind you, but you want to intro yourself and
Yeah,
your content real
so
quick?
so I basically I guess we could start from the very beginning, which was me struggling with girls. Right? So when I was like a freshman, sophomore in high school, I was always getting my heart broken. I was always falling for some hoes. And mainly just because I didn't know any better. I always grew up watching Disney movies. My parents were divorced at the time, so I was always around my mom. And without realizing
Mm,
it, like now knowing what that causes to a guy is like, you know, I became more feminine, more emotional, right? I started acting like the girl. And if you know anything about women, is women don't want to date a pussy because they already have one, right? And so I started struggling with girls, started struggling with relationships, got my heart broken a few times. Um, and then I started to come across Coach Corey Wayne's work on YouTube because I started
mm,
searching up, okay, how to get a girl, how to do this, how to do that. So I found Coach Corey Wayne through YouTube, and he's my mentor now. But yeah, so when I was about 16, 17 years old, I found Coach Corey Wayne, started watching his videos, cherry picked his videos, learn the hard way that you can't just cherry pick information and use what you like. You have to really apply every other aspect. And so I read the book, started applying every other aspect to my life. And basically, the book just teaches you how to be a masculine dude or how to be in your masculine frame and your masculine energy to attract feminine women or what feminine women like.
mm,
And it really helped me understand more of who I am and what I needed to work on, right? So a lot of guys go into learning about women to just learn about women because they're struggling, and then they come out learning more about themselves. And that's something I really saw was powerful. Was I was coming in it to go learn about girls, and then I came out of it a better version of myself. And it was something that everyone else saw. My friends started coming to me for advice now.
mm.
Girls were approaching me nonstop. I had girls, giving me more attention than ever before. Um, yeah, and I was, I had a lot of good stories with women. I think, one of the videos that went viral, my first ever video that went viral, I think got like 3 million views on TikTok. It was me walking up to a girl at Cane's, like
Mm.
a fast food restaurant, and within 10 to 20 minutes of me meeting her, we're making out outside of the Cane's restaurant, and all the employees are cheering us on.
Well, you have
And
this on video?
Yeah, it was on video. My buddies caught that shit on video, and my buddies in the background like, "Oh my god, they just met like fucking 20 minutes ago. What the fuck?"
Wait,
Um, so th-
how old were you on this? 18, right?
I was like 17, yeah.
And you just went up to a girl, didn't know her age, and you start making out with her.
Yeah, I think she was probably like 19, 20. Um, I was always
Okay.
going for older girls.
Yeah, it's
Um,
like, yeah.
yeah, so I was always going for girls who were in college because they could actually drive and shit. Because I didn't have a car back then. But yeah, so basically that video went viral. But during that time frame, I was hooking up with a lot of chicks. You know, I was on Tinder. I had a lot of success on Tinder. I was getting all my boys on Tinder. Um, I had a lot of success with getting girls on social media, at parties. So yeah, I had a pretty good streak with girls by the end of high school, just from learning this information and applying it. And
Did you
then
go direct coaching from Coach Corey Wayne? Because I read his book too. I never worked with him directly.
yeah,
Um,
so it's crazy because I just purchased a phone coaching call from him about 3 weeks ago, and I was like, "Fuck it, I'm just gonna pay a grand, talk to him." And then I ended up actually helping him on the phone coaching call with his social medias, and now we talk every week. And now I'm helping him grow his social medias. He's helping me with my coaching and how I should help other guys as well. So it's pretty awesome. But yeah, so basically on TikTok, I started out posting videos of me getting girls because they went viral.
mhm.
And I started the trend stop simping, start pimping. And I literally coined that tag on fucking TikTok like way before everyone else started using it. And then everyone else started using the simp to pimp, which is what I also used for my podcast in the very beginning. So I basically I really did coin that fucking terminology, and I really did
Oh
make it
man,
popular.
that's crazy. That should you'd be already a millionaire by now. You should because you know that how they patent it. Like LeBron
Dude,
James,
I
it's like patent.
dude, I wish I
Yeah, yeah,
actually
yeah.
copyrighted that shit. But yeah, man, fucking. So I started using that on all my videos, and they started trending, and it was just like the simp to pimp trend. Um, and yeah, a lot of guys I noticed they started asking me for advice, and I tell them, hey, I learned all this shit from Coach Corey Wayne. And they'd be like, "Oh, I checked him out. He's old. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He talks about pagers. That shit's outdated." And I was like, "No, dude. I'm gonna show you that using his information doesn't matter how old you are. It still fucking works." And so basically, I went out preaching Coach Corey Wayne's work to younger guys my age or guys in similar age range, and I started helping them out with dating and relationships and pickup, using his advice. And guys started to see a lot of results. But at the end of the day, they still came back to me to ask questions. They still came back to me for coaching and advice. And it was very interesting how that worked. And then I still kept making videos. I think I got up to 100,000 followers on TikTok. And that is around the time I got banned. So I was I was like 18 years old in high school. And this was all in a time period of, I think, 6, 7 months. I gained 100,000 followers on
Mhm.
TikTok, all this stuff. And so, right around the end of senior year, one video of me goes viral of me talking about how men and women are valued. And in that video, I talk about how women are born with value, men are not. And so, men have to build themselves up. And men start out as a peasant, they start out as a nobody. And throughout their success, their money, their power, they start to grow from a knight to a king, right? And for women, they start out as a princess, right? And that's because simply the value that they provide, which is ass, titties, they're like the OnlyFans. Like they don't have to do anything except for show ass and titties, and they make money, right? So they don't have to actually provide real value and change people's lives. Like we have to actually do that shit to make money. For girls, they just already have value inherently. But the only thing that lowers their value is their integrity, their morals, and their ethics, right? So the more a girl does drugs and drinking and partying and sleeping around, her value starts to lower. And you ask any guy, like the whole thing with the body count on your forehead thing that Andrew Tate says, it was like, bro,
Yeah,
yeah, you're gonna notice if you saw a girl's body count on her forehead, you'd be like, fuck no. Compared to a girl who
yeah,
has zero, it is what it is. Like if you had the choice between a 200 body count and a zero body count, every single guy is gonna choose the zero, like no questions
yeah,
asked. And that's just the
yeah.
reality. And basically, a lot of girls got upset at the fact that I called them out for sleeping with a bunch of dudes. And it just kind of showed you what kind of time period we're in. And even all the high school chicks, it kind of exposed. They really just exposed themselves because they were trying to cancel me, saying how, oh, you shouldn't shame girls for their body count. I was like, bro, you wouldn't get mad unless I was talking about you specifically. And so for all the guys who kind of understood this shit, was like, dude, this is crazy how many girls are actually salty about this shit. But the one thing is, a lot of guys actually thought these girls were really angry, but in reality, a lot of the girls who tried canceling me were girls I've slept with in the past. I denied in the past from sleeping with me. You know, I curved them. They used to follow me on Instagram. They used to think I was attractive, and they still do, right? But it's all a shit test at the end of the day. You know, everything in life is either a test or a celebration. And one of the things I learned from the 48 Laws of Power is all attention is good attention. And when I got canceled, you know, it was super stressful on my family because they were getting like death threats. You know, like my friends were getting death threats, my family's getting death threats. It was ridiculous, but I knew at the end of the day, it's all temporary. You know, and these people just forget and move on to the next thing like nothing. And all these people are
Mm.
miserable. So why should I comply and change my value system for people who are miserable? And I still kept making videos, and eventually my TikTok got taken down, so I had to move over to YouTube and Spotify. Um, but yeah, still kept making videos despite getting canceled. Still, kept doing my thing, and that's where I'm at now. So
Yeah, I mean, dude, like the fact that because usually for me, like you talk about Coach Corey Wayne. I actually read his book too. But the reason why I believe in coaching too, the reason why I didn't go for him, like, yeah, he's white, and I felt like as an Asian guy, how can a white guy know? Because I don't know if you agree with this, Logan, but I do feel like so my whole content is about how Asian men actually have to be better, right? Like you can, like for example, the body, right? I just nowadays I actually say that you can't just have a decent body. I think you got to be more ripped than the next white guy because I just watched this commercial for Ryan Gosling and Simu Liu. Like Simu Liu's like the antagonist Barbie movie, whatever, and he's a bad guy. But like Ryan Gosling is always going to be considered more handsome than Simu Liu, right? But
mm,
Simu Liu could kind of like equal terms by looking more masculine. And we gotta admit, in this age, having a nice body with abs, right, having physical presence is masculine, right? And as Asian men, what are we perceived as? Either shorter, we're the smaller, and genetics wise, sometimes, right? But that's
right.
why I said to Asian men, you gotta be more masculine, right? I do think you gotta be more assertive, be more dominant. And Coach Corey Wayne, I kind of watched his stuff, and then I watched other people, and I created my own kind of philosophy as like as an Asian man, you got to be more dominant, right? You got to actually like just because I think they did a study in BuzzFeed where they said that Asian men are actually the least swiped, right?
Yeah,
But it's
at least
interesting how
yeah.
yeah, the least attractive. But it's
Yep.
interesting how your mindset is so different, right? Like because I grew up in an era where I blame my circumstances, right? Because I couldn't date white girls when I was younger, and I just felt like as an Asian man, we weren't attractive to other races, and even I had women, and I would say attracted in my own way, where I would go out talk to a certain type of I would talk with white women, and then if they had an Asian friend, the Asian girlfriend would try to talk talk back about me, right? Try to talk shit. And I realized that's not my issue. It's like Asian women probably had father issues, right? That's most likely the issue why they don't like Asian men. But it's something as because I was born in Jersey, right, and I lived in New York. I went to Oklahoma City for being stationed in the military. I went to the Air Force Academy where like all the studs were always white, black, Latino, right? Like all the athletes, right? And it's just our media. But you kind of like swerve that, right? Like the way you said you curb that, and you don't. It's not that I don't think you don't believe in it. I don't think you complete like It's not like you're like not conscious of it, but
Yeah, I
I could
know
tell that.
it's definitely like logistically it's definitely realistic. Like Asian guys are you have to work a lot harder as an Asian guy for sure.
Yeah. So how do you control for so like because most of my clients are 20 or mid 25s to like 35, somewhere even older, right? And they're so ingrained. And actually, I'm kind of thinking like your clientele is perfect because you could actually mold them at a young age. They're more open, right? Like they're because I think from 20 to 30, you kind of have to learn from everyone, right? You kind of have to learn, feed your mind with the right things you want to learn. But around 30, like that's my age, I think you got to solidify it. And because I used to always be like, oh, Coach Corey Wayne said this guy said this guy, but now Robert Greene said this, but now I'm more like I said this, right? I have more confirmation in my identity of who I am. But how do you deal with that, especially with your age, with like TikTok, constant information flow, people talking ish, but you sound like you're so firm in your identity at age. Like I don't believe in age, but I do think that there's experience, right? In terms of pure years, I lived on Earth longer than you, right? I just lived on Earth longer. I was into this world. You were not even in your mom's belly like 10 years ago, right? Or
Right,
20
right.
years ago. Um, so, but you have this mentality that I had to literally work on for like 10 straight years, working with coaches, therapists. I work with 3 dating coaches, constant YouTube. So how'd you ingrain this into your head like that so fast?
So I think from the very beginning, I always knew that a lot of things were lies. I always knew that okay, school is a lie. I always sucked in school for sure. I was like the complete opposite of the Asian stereotype. I went to a high school that was like I think 97% Asian kids, um, and I was literally the complete opposite. And I'll speak
Mm,
about why that's actually really good later. But yeah, I was super bad in school, got bad grades, and it's mainly because I didn't like any of the subjects we were discussing. The only time I got good grades was in history or in fucking wrestling. Like, and that's just for showing up. So, but every other
yeah,
class, dude, I was fucking trash. And it wasn't because I wasn't like fucking, I would just not care. I did not care. Like in the classes, I would do my own thing, read my own books. And because I just didn't value what they were telling me. And because I just always had a feeling like, dude, this shit's bullshit. And even in science class, they would always try. There's one story I have is, in science class, these girls, they tried coming up to the class and telling us in science class how there's more than two genders and a bunch of this bullshit. And all the kids in the class were like, "Oh yeah, okay." And I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "You guys are retarded." And I felt like I was the only one in there who was like, "Are you guys not seeing like this is not reality?" And they were trying to tell how women are stronger than men. I'm like, "Whoa." And I was like, I rose my hand. I'm like, dude, no, we're not the same. Like, just physically, on a physical level, if I was to fight any chick, like, no, that would not happen. Like,
yeah,
it is
yeah,
what it is. Like, that's why they put any girl in like football or basketball, they're gonna get destroyed by a guy. And I
yeah.
said that the teachers got mad, they got mad, and but then I started to notice I started to inspire other guys to raise their hand and
Wait,
to
can I pause you real quick though? Logan,
yeah.
where'd you get that conviction though to stand up for yourself? So I got bullied, right? I got
Mhm.
bullied by like I remember one bully, he's 6'2" white guy, slapped me in the back of my head. And I still feel like even to this day, I feel like I should have fought back, right? But for me, because everyone was white in my school, I didn't have the balls to be like every time someone says a joke about an Asian guy, I wanted to say something. But I was always trying to be the popular kid or hang out with the popular kids, and they're all white. I could have hung out with the Asian kids, but I didn't want to hang out with the Asian kids. So I
Mm.
didn't have the balls to stand up. That's what I'm saying. I'll tell you straight up right now. I didn't have the balls to be convicted in my own thing. Like, no, that's fucking wrong. Stop talking shit about Asian people having small dicks or we're nerds. But you had the balls in high school where literally your life is based on status and popularity and people liking you, right?
Yeah, I mean, but I think that's the interesting thing is I went to school with mostly Asian kids, so the white kids were actually at my school the minority, which is kind of funny because other
Oh,
schools.
okay.
So maybe my situation was very different because I went to school with all Asian kids, so and I was like I'm half white, right? So I actually stood out because I'm half white, I'm Wasian, and to a lot of girls, Wasian guys are pretty awesome, and I think
Mm-hmm.
Wasian girls are pretty awesome too. But yeah, I went to school with mostly fucking Asian guys and white guys. I feel like there's more Arabs and more Muslim guys than any other race. It's just Asians and Muslims, bro. I was friends with a bunch of
Oh,
Muslim
really?
guys.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's funny.
and yeah, there just wasn't that many white guys at my school. So maybe it would have been different if I went to all white school. And actually, I remember when I did go to all white school in Colorado, because Colorado is just all white people. Um, yeah, it was I did struggle with, trying to I guess stand out from the crowd. Um and just because everyone's taller, everyone is, like dude, like it's just genetics. It's just everyone's much bigger. And so they get more attention, right? Or maybe you get more attention just by being smaller, right? But it doesn't matter. But it just depends how you play it, right? But yeah, I know the same thing as when I was in Colorado. I didn't get really much female attention, but I didn't really care about females back then. It was during high school when I actually went to the all Asian high school. I started to care more about girls, started trying to talk to girls more. Um, but I never really dealt with bullying. I think because a lot of guys knew that I was in wrestling, and I wasn't afraid to throw down. And I think it's just wrestling just kind of made everyone super like over cocky, like super like not humble at all. Like wrestling is like one of those
Yeah,
non humble
yeah,
sports, which I think was good. Especially when you're young, because it's like, bro, even if you get in fights, it's not a big deal. Like you don't get in trouble. Like nothing happens. You just a slap on the wrist. And so I got in a few fights. But it wasn't never it was it was always other Asian kids or something, man. So it was like race. I never really paid attention to race that much, but yeah, I mean, for jokes, I would also throw back racist jokes as well, to white people or, to
yeah.
whoever who threw racist jokes at me. Um, but yeah, I think we just all had like mutual respect for each other, but also like they also went to a school with a lot of Asians, so it's different. Maybe if I went to a school with less Asian people, but yeah,
Actually, but I don't think it'll be different. I do think with your mentality, because for me, I was beta, right? I'll be 100% like once the bully won over, right? He had his way with me. I was done. I was like,
mm,
I lost. So once that slap happened, I knew I was at his mercy, right? But I want to fit in. I think my biggest thing that really, and I think this is what I've known is your like superpower or your talent that I just noticed is you really don't give a fuck. Yeah, you don't give a fuck about what you say, what people think of you. You don't even give a fuck if I like you or not. And that's something that I realized at age 30, right? A long fucking time because around age 20 to 30, I was just trying to get people to like me. I
mm.
wanted women to like me. And I went on this whole, so my game is more romantic, right? I just went more with the Casanova. You ever read the 48 laws of, no, the law of seduction, right?
Yeah, the art of seduction, yeah.
The art of seduction. So I followed the ideal lover route. I'm the Casanova guy. So what
Okay.
I do is I make the girl feel all lovey dovey, blah blah blah, and try to make her feel experiences that another guy. And I kind of went that route. But then like looking at you, and you're just like I don't give a fuck. And I see the guys who are actually the naturals who actually game like you more like I don't give a fuck. Like he doesn't. It's not that he wants to offend women, right? He doesn't want to offend women. It's just that he doesn't care like I don't know how to say this. It's not that it doesn't sound like because I do think men who well, I actually don't know you that well, but I do think that it's not that you want to offend a woman, you just don't care what she says about you. You just don't care
Yeah,
what other
I
people
don't
say about
care if
you.
I don't care if I offend her. I'm not trying to offend her, but I don't care if I offend her.
Yes.
Um, yeah. So and I don't always try to go out of my way to offend women. I mean, you could do it for podcasts. Like I'm super analytical now, but like back then, yeah, I just didn't really give a fuck. And any of the times I did give a fuck about offending women, they would walk all over you, man. Like they can sense it. They can sense that this guy is afraid of offending me. They sense that as weakness, and they sense that
Yeah.
you care, and they know that you care too much about them, right? And they'd rather you care more about your opinions than them and what you want than them. They never want to be the focus of your life. They want to be the cherry on top to your amazing and perfect life already, right? Girls
Mm.
never want to be the focus or the center of attention to you. But yeah, that's one of the things I talk about in. I'm actually working on my course pretty soon. One of the things I talk about in that course is how you have to understand your roles that society gives you, and you kind of have to play the opposite, right? So if I'm surrounded by a bunch of Asian kids and they're all focused on school and getting good grades, if I'm just like them, it's going to be very difficult for me to stand out. So you have to
Mm.
play, okay, cool. What's the opposite of what I could do? And I was just doing that naturally, right? But you can actually, if you understand it, you can actually control that to get attention, women's attention, right? You can actually control that. And so, for example, like let's say I have a baby face, like I have a super baby face, I look super innocent, but here's
Mm.
what I could do to be super polarizing. I could bring off a very deep sexual energy and vibe. So when I talk to girls, it's very sexual, it's very dominant, and it's like, whoa, that just broke every little thing I was assuming about you. I want to find out more, and
Yeah, yeah.
curiosity kills the cat. So that's where you get them. And so it can actually help you, right? So I'm short, I look kind of innocent, I have no tattoos, no scars on my face, anything. And that's where I can actually use that dominant, I don't give a fuck energy, the super polarizing energy that it was like, whoa, I was expecting you to be super nice because that's what most guys that look like you are super nice. They're submissive, and it's super polarizing. It gets people to either love you or gets people to fucking hate you, which is what you want in the first place. You want people to either love you and die for you, or you want people to be like, oh no, I hate you, right? And it just shows you. So you could actually use it towards your advantage. And let's say you're a guy who it looks like a fucking criminal. You look like a guy who can actually just, ruin people's lives. Tattoos, scars, if you come off to women as actually like super gentle and soft and loving, it's going to surprise them, and that's going to be super
Yeah.
polarizing. And then guess what? They're going to want to learn more about you. Like, whoa, why are you so like romantic, right? And then they fall into bed with you, right? So that's one of the things I'm working on in my course to talk about is like you have to play on what you look like, and it might actually help you if you understand what you look like and how you could play against that.
How do you deal with girls that are not interested in you? Like you just don't give a fuck?
So it's not even if a girl's interested in me or not. I don't even really think about that. I think of just like, okay, what's our chances of being like compatible? Because I just assume every girl's into me, like so I could skip that step of, oh, is she into me, she's not into me, whatever. I just look at the actions and like be like, okay, cool. Is she more focused on school? Is she more focused on her business? Or oh, I'm a goal oriented woman. I'm a businesswoman. It's like, okay, get the fuck out of here. I don't want to talk to you, right? So
Wow.
I put myself in full control of who I'm talking to. So if the girl is like, oh no, I'm not doing all those things, all right, cool. Like that shows me more interest because um, attraction is not an option, right? So you can't control it. It's like the girl's attracted to you or she's not. But what you can control is who you talk to. And that's one of the only things I control is like, okay, cool. I'm always pre qualifying. When you put yourself in a position of pre qualifying, the girls actually have to earn your time and attention and your validation much more. It's not the other way around of, oh, what can I do to get this girl attracted to me? What can I do to get her interest? I'm sorry, assuming the girl's into me because she's talking to me. I'm already assuming the girl's attracted to me because she's talking to me. Girls don't talk to
Mm.
guys they're not interested in or they don't want to talk to, right? And I've kind of built myself up on social media to where now I just have girls trying to talk to me. Now I'm just like heavily pre-qualifying, and you could build yourself that up that way in person, on social media, whatever. But that's just how I've done it on social media, and even in person, it's just like I guess the vibe and the energy I bring off. Girls can sense that, oh, this guy gets girls. He knows what he's talking about. He knows what he's doing. He's playful. He's mysterious, and I just automatically assume that she's attracted to you. And it's a really good mindset to assume because you come off way more cocky and confident, like just acting like, yeah, every girl's into me, And if you're not, then it's your loss, not mine.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that right when you said that, I was like, that's the mentality that even that's the mentality I want to go through, or I tell my students to. But so, most of our clients, right? You're going to go through this and you probably did. So some of my clients, when they work with me, it's not that I put myself down. I always tell myself, I'm going to think. So when I go into the call, I look at their face, do their Zoom call, look at their Instagram, and I kind of study them because I'm doing mostly online, even in person, right? What I try to do is because I do have a bigger presence, right? Like I'm like 6 foot. I have like I'm in pretty big shape, but the students don't really trust me right away. So I used to collab with ABC Attraction, JT. So he's more shorter. He's a little bit more overweight. So students relate to him. They're like, oh, if he could get girls, then I can too. So I realized like, wait, I need to put myself. So I lived in a world where like it's not my story anymore, but there was a time when I was legit considered ugly, right? So you could tell the way I live my life, how I get treated now and how I get treated back then, right? You don't get free stuff. Girls like the people are just extra mean to you. People automatically assume you're lazy because I was overweight. So I used to live that lifestyle, right? The ugly duckling lifestyle. And then, long story short, now I changed myself, and the same mentality of like I assume attraction, right? I take off my shirt, I go to a party or a festival, or I have that presence, the way I dress. I'm like, yo, I'm attractive in this room. I'm one of the most attractive guys, or the attractive guy. But when I teach a student, like I have to build them up, right? And honestly, Logan, like you're half Asian, you have the looks, right? You let's be honest, right? I don't think you've been called ugly your whole life. So
Yeah,
how do
yeah,
you
yeah.
deal with the student? Yeah, and that's where I think in coaching that you and me will have to figure out is how do we coach a guy who's been told his ugly life? So I have students who are short, I have students who are fat. Yeah, if they're fat, I say you gotta lose weight. Like there's no like I remember this old pickup company used to say looks and money don't matter. Now it matters more than ever because now there's another man who's out competing you. There's now richer guys, more good looking guys. Even Jack, every guy's getting on TRT now, right? It's like so easy to get. So like people are just like improving as species, especially men, right? So And of course, there's a few outliers that are not. But what I'm saying is, especially with my students, I was like, you gotta lose weight. Like you gotta have it. Some of my students are like, I don't want to do Instagram. I'm like, that's the new dating business card. Like, I'm sorry. They're like, I'm like the new Instagram dating coach because I'm like 30 years old. And I'm actually telling all my older generation guys like, you got to get on Instagram, bro. It's just
Yep.
how it's done. Like you cannot not get on it. You have to at least have a decent amount of followers, a decent outline. You can't just post iPhone pictures anymore. And I'm trying to convince these guys, right? But I get it. They're like, it's easy for you. It's easy for you, Danny, to do that. You just take off your shirt. I'm like, I never. But like 2 years ago, I didn't take off my shirt. I just blew up, right? So I'm trying to tell these guys, you just got to build content, use stories to bring passive value where girls are messing